Hey everybody, you found the Hillbilly Voodoo channel. My wife has recently found one of these powered wheelbarrows online. And I thought, hey, that would be a pretty cool idea. So I wouldn't have to fire up the loader every time I need to move something, or the bobcat, or be a little bit more maneuverable in the tight spaces around our farm here. Then I looked at the price and I'm like, yeah, $4 grand, that ain't gonna happen. So I found this old lawnmower. I think we're going to build ourselves a powered wheelbarrow out of a lawnmower. Is it going to work? I don't know, but it ain't going to cost me $4 grand, so hopefully it works. So stick around, see what kind of hillbilly voodoo we're going to have to do to make a lawnmower and a bunch of ground obtainium into a powered wheelbarrow, or something that kind of resembles a powered wheelbarrow. What I'm thinking here is, we'll take the rear axle out of that tractor. We will take the motor out of that tractor. And then we'll put a single wheel somewhere in there and a wheelbarrow type box contraption on there. This rear wheel will be able to steer so that we can walk behind and make this thing do what we need it to in the tight areas without tearing the crap out of the lawn, crashing into the buildings, or smashing down the fences. Now that lawn tractor I got there, I don't know if it runs. I got it from a person that was mowing their lawn and the belt catastrophically failed. And then after the belt failing, it wouldn't start. So I'm hoping that just maybe one of the safety sallies has shorted out and that's why it won't run. So the first order of business is to see if we can get a lawn tractor to run so we can turn it into, well, it kind of looks like a wheelchair with a wheelbarrow hanging, but yeah, a powered wheelbarrow. Now I got some jumper cables hooked up here. They're not hooked to the normal battery spot that you would on this lawnmower, because I could guarantee that if this thing died somewhere, one of the safety sallies is not powering the ignition. So why even bother screwing around? I'm just going to jump right on the starter, see if she cranks over first, and hopefully it starts when it cranks over. Let's try to jam this down in here without sparking on anything and see if it goes. Now it doesn't sound too terribly bad. Surges a little bit, but it's cold still, so probably should have checked the oil before I even started it. It might have been the thing. Oh, there's oil in it. So we know we got a good candidate. It was obviously moving when he was mowing the lawn, because that's where I picked it up from, right in the middle of his lawn, so we know the transmission works. Well, let's start digging into this thing and see what parts we can use for a wheelbarrow and what parts we can't. So this is what I'm thinking so far. We're going to take the transaxle, we're going to move it into this area here somewhere, under where the steering used to be. Not quite right underneath the engine, but kind of sort of close to it. We'll spin the transaxle around so that when it's going forward, it will really be going backwards. You guys following along? If you're not following along, you should probably subscribe. And why do I say that? Well, because this is kind of the similar idea that we did with Project Eeyore, our extreme off-road wheelchair. And you should go back and watch that. Then you'll know where we went with it. But anyways, take that transaxle, turn it around the other way, put it right here. So now we got the wheels here so that there will be weight over to the top of the wheels when there's no weight in the wheelbarrow. still give us traction. We got the engine with the weight to give us traction, right? Okay. So take one of these front wheels, put it in the middle underneath. Now, I know you're saying, well, why don't you use the steering that's already on here? Because as you can see, the steering is pretty much non-existent. It is so wore out that I'm pretty sure that's another reason why Buddy gave it to me. Single rear wheel in the back, which is the front. Yeah, right. That's kind of screwing with your brain. Single rear wheel in the middle so that it can pivot like this and steer. Now I'm hoping with the engine there, the wheel underneath will still have enough weight on that wheel to turn the whole machine. Now that's yet to be seen. We might have to put turning brakes of some sort on this, because knowing my wife, it's going to be loaded. And when I say loaded, I mean she's snapped the rear axles out of a four-wheeler because she had too many cinder blocks packed on the back. That kind of loaded. Yeah, so it'll give you an idea of things around here. When they get used, they get abused. So first thing we're gonna have to do is tear all this stuff off of here to see if we can use the frame or whatever, if it's got a frame, and if we can move that transaxle into that spot there. Now I'm sure some people are saying, well, why don't you turn this thing into a racing lawnmower? It looks like it could probably, it's got a hydrostatic transaxle and they don't really like to be turned into racing lawnmowers. They don't really go any faster if you modify them. So this should be a good candidate for this thing. So let's get ripping into this thing and see what's underneath here and see if we can actually use this chassis for the crazy idea that I have in my head. Now I'm not going to really bore you with all the disassembling of all the panels off of this thing, because I wouldn't really want to watch that, so I can assume that you guys won't really want to watch that either. I'll bring you back when I get most of this crap ripped off of here, and we'll ascertain our situation with the frame and see what we can do about moving that transaxle. Well, now that I got all this lubriferous paraphernalia, ooh, that hurt my little brain. Ouch. Now that I got all the crap stripped out of the way here so I can see what's going on, I've figured that this part of the chassis is bolted to this part of the chassis. So if I just flip that transaxle around right where it is, then chop this off somewhere about here, slide this all forward, rebolt it on there, should make it, well, maybe easier, maybe faster, but I don't know about either of those, but it might work. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip that transaxle around right where it is, because then I can just rebolt it to the holes that are already there. Whack it right there, move it that way, and see what happens. Yeah, okay. Well, that ended up going way smoother than I figured it was going to. I ended up chopping total about 18 inches out of that frame, slid everything forward, rebolted it in. Give you a bit better look there, yeah. I tried to flip the transaxle around and rebolt it into the same spot that it was, but because of the way that pulley is situated, I had to actually move it forward from here to there. So just needed to drill 4 holes, bolted it back in there. It actually worked out pretty good, because now when we mount our little dippy dumpy wheelbarrow box type thing here, it's gonna clear the tires. Yeah, so that should work. Now the more I look at this thing, the more I'm thinking, why reinvent the wheel? We got this front suspension on here. and it steers. It's really not all that floppy. There's a little bit of play in it, but it's not completely worn out. It was a steering rack and all the linkages between the rack and the front end that were all pretty much garbage. There was almost no teeth left at all on the rack, so why not just use what we got here? The hillbilly voodoo way, use what you got to make what you want. There's already steering there. Let's figure out some way that we can make those steer with what we got laying around here. Haven't quite come up with that plan yet. Well, not a plan, an idea. Plans are what you have that other people screw up for you. Anyways, I haven't really figured out an idea of how I'm going to make those wheels turn from this end, because that's the front now and that's the back now, and we're going to be going that way. So we'll have kind of like forklift type steering, rear steer. Should make it pretty maneuverable. So when I come up with an idea of what I'm going to do to make these wheels go back and forth and make it steer, you guys will be the first to know. Let me sit here and think for a minute, and I'll come up with a solution. So I'm sitting here looking at this thing at a bit of a different angle, and it's kind of reminding me of a forklift. And my brain went from forklift to pallet jack. I don't know why. Forklift, pallet jack, kind of same thing, different idea. So why not steering like a pallet jack? Just a handle up here that can go like this back and forth. The pivot down here, keep it nice and simple. That connects to our steering. And yeah, you're walking behind it. Maybe the handlebars can be adjustable back and forth, and so that when you're standing there and you're walking, you're not boating your legs into the mufflers kind of thing. And yeah, that seems like simple and should probably work. And maybe I'll go wander around my piles of ground obtainium, see what I can come up with for a little steering pivot type thing, and some type of bar or shaft that we can attach to that pivot. And yeah, that's our idea so far. Let's go with it and see where it comes. You guys are gonna kind of have to excuse the audio today. We're having some really weird weather. It's like super sunny out and pouring rain at the same time. So that noise you're hearing is the rain bouncing off my tin roof there and dripping down on everything else. But you look and it's like, it's sunny. Weird weather. Okay, well, I'm gonna go out into that rain and get wet and find me some parts that I can maybe build some steering out of. So after digging around in my piles of ground obtainium, I came up with this stuff here. I'm going to use this as the upright to put the handlebars on. Put the handlebars on, spin that like that. This here used to be an old log hauler trailer type thing that I built way back. And the spindle's a little seized up on it, but I'm going to use the spindle as the pivot at the bottom of the steering. I use some of this metal here for the brackets for the arm thing going up and down. Kind of sounds like an idea. The spindle's a little tight, and but a little bit of grease and cleaning up and stuff, it should be okay. Yeah, but this should be enough material to build some brackets and stuff out of here. So let's start whacking this stuff up and see what we can create out of it. I cleaned this stuff up, chopped it into more usable sizes. So I'm going to take this spindle, I'm going to chop it off here, and gonna probably put it in the lathe maybe and clean up this edge so we can use these inside bolt holes here. I don't think it really needs to be that big around, but I don't know if I'm gonna do that or not. It's just a thought in my head right now. So definitely gonna just chop it off right here so that this can bolt down like that. And then we can make some brackets out of this stuff off like that. And then our up and down thing, arm thingy here will be in the brackets like that. It's not making sense yet. It will in a minute, because I'll do all this stuff really quickly, and when I bring you back, you'll be able to see what it looks like. Yeah. So that big ugly pile of mess is now some usable scraps. So this here is what I've been babbling on for the last few minutes about. We got our spindle here so that our brackets can spin back and forth like this so we can steer. This is going to be our handle going up. We'll have a pivot here so that it can go back and forth. We'll have a handlebar type eye arrangement type thing up here with our controls for forward and backward type of thing. We'll have linkage coming off of here over to here somewhere. Probably a bell crank of some type to go to the wheels, to the arm here, so that we can steer. So if you guys are following this so far, you should probably hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Maybe give me a thumbs up. Definitely share it with your friends that you think would be into this kind of thing. I think that maybe I'm going to leave this video here, go around and wander around some more and see what I can find for some type of bell crank here, and maybe some tie rods of some type for our linkage. And yeah, so until next time, use what you got to make what you want, and I'll see you later.